This Liberty Sports Update is brought to you by Beacon Credit Union.
Certainly. I thought our guys came out really, really strong in the first half and overcame a lot of different things. If you look at everything that goes into traveling on the West Coast, it's a 4-hour flight. It's a time zone change. It's a change in altitude on top of heat. You're stack piling all these things, and you got to figure out a way to overcome those things in addition to playing against an opponent. And I think our guys did a really good job of doing so. I think we played 92 snaps on offense, and it started to catch up with us in the second half. But our guys were in shape. I mean, it's a tribute to our strength and conditioning staff of working our guys in the off season and staying on them in the in season, and they had to win. They had everything that they needed in order to play the game. I think all of those things kind of caught up to us in the second half, and we found a way to win. So I was really, really proud of our entire program and what we were able to accomplish on the road in enemy territory. Moving on to this week's opponent, they're a very, very salty defense. These guys got a lot of veterans, guys played a lot of football. And so with that being said, there's some unity, there's some continuity there. They play a very, very aggressive style of defense. They're coached by a really, really good guy on defense, a guy who's been a head football coach in major college football. He knows what he wants, and these guys play, with their hair on fire, so to speak. And so, we're going to have our hands full because these guys, they play aggressive.
When you look back at Antonio Gandy Golden on tape, I mean, certainly you knew Saturday that he had a special night, but when you watched it on tape, was there anything else that you saw maybe that you didn't see Saturday night?
No, there's things that separate Antonio from a lot of people. It's just his attitude and his effort. Like who he is on game day is the same guy right now in the locker room. He's going to give you everything he has. Always got a great smile on his face, and he's going to get every last ounce of what he has out in order to, for you, for the team, for whoever it may be. The things that he did on Saturday night, he did on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and a walkthrough on Friday, and the warm-ups on Saturday. And that's just who he is. That's just his nature. That's how God created him, and and he's living up to what he's been called to do.
From their summer time in Summer Bridge back in 2016 to now, how have you seen the relationship between Buckshot and AGG develop to the point where they know what routes they're going, they know back shoulder, if it's working, keep going to it, that they have that relationship, that chemistry that Buck can trust them?
Yeah, certainly. It takes time. I think it takes some on the field and off the field work. It takes a relationship away from just the game of football in order to kind of understand a person, because there's some mannerisms that go into playing the game of football that you got to be able to read. And we talk about all the time at the quarterback position, you got to be an expert body language reader. You got to know if you can put a ball in a certain place and can your guy get there. And those two have been doing that for a long period of time now. And so what you saw on Saturday night, they're capable of doing that at any given time. But it comes from just days, weeks, months, years of just getting a chance to know each other, intimately, in terms of, how he's going to move when a guy tries to get over top, or if a guy's underneath him and he's trailing, and he can just read his body language and see exactly where he needs to place the football, and go up and get it. So that's just been, a development thing. That thing has taken a while to get to where it is. But it's been so much fun to watch all that because that hasn't happened yet this year. We haven't gone to AGG like that all year long. And so for it to happen on Saturday night, just shows you that we have that in the toolbox as well.
Not to keep talking about AGG, but where does that performance rank among some of the wide receiver performances you've seen?
It's one of the best that we've ever been around. Certainly when we were at the University at Buffalo, we had some guys that could go. But we didn't get a lot of single coverage, and I think that Antonio not, having great numbers the first couple of weeks maybe led people to believe that I don't know if he's as good as people say, and that's why I always say, I'm not into the stats. We're not really into the stats because at any given day, what you saw last week or the week before could be the polar opposite, and that's what it's been for our offense really, this season. The slot guys have been getting a lot more footballs. They've been going for 150 yards plus in back-to-back games. And then all of a sudden you got a wide out there that goes for double that. That can happen on any given day. So we're not into the numbers or the stats, but I think people look too much into that at times, and they fall victim to the numbers.
Joe, compare the experience for a backup quarterback going in a stressful time versus mop-up duty, and what did you get out of Mason in the few reps he had Saturday?
Well, I think he's done a really good job of just being prepared for his opportunity. Because as a program, we always talk about you're one play away. You never know. And are you going to be ready to make your one play when it comes about? And he was ready. He was fired up. He was excited. I could hear in the headsets. He was like, Coach, I'm ready to go. Listening to Coach DeArmond and Coach Sam talk about how he was on the sideline and his command and how he was just juiced up and excited and ready. It's a testament to what we say. You're one play away. You got to be ready for your moment. And he was ready for his moment. I mean, he went in there and, he made a contingency read that, we don't see a lot as a quarterback. They jumped the outside guy. He relocated his eyes and put the ball on the outside shoulder opposite the defender covering him. We don't work that a lot. But when we do, we got to be mindful of it. And he was prepared for his moment, when that came about. He made a clutch third down throw, I think the third series when he was in. And so Mason just a guy that comes to work every single day, with a great attitude, and he fights his tail off just to be ready for his opportunity.
What about Buckshot Calvert doing just whatever it took to get back in the game? I mean, see him on the sideline, Powerade, water, oxygen mask at one point. I mean, what did that tell you about his personality, if anything, maybe you didn't already know?
Not much. I mean, he's the same kid every single day. When I first met him in 2015, when we were recruiting him, to this day, we call those guys Tommy Tough guys. As a quarterback, you got to be Tommy Tough guy. You got to be prepared to get hit in the face and no flags. You got to be prepared to scramble around and find a way to get the ball downfield. And you're going to take shots. There's going to be so many things that come about, and you can't play quarterback at this level and have success if you're not tough, mentally and physically. And he may not have the greatest weight room numbers, but, man, he can take a shot. And there's plenty of times this season he's gotten hit and he's gotten back up. Some guys won't get up from that. And some of the toughest guys, some of the strongest, best-looking guys don't get up from that. And he's been able to do that, So he's a competitor. He's a relentless competitor. He just wants to win. And he'll do whatever, is required of him to be successful, for us to be successful. And so, that's Buckshot. You can get that guy every single day. And so it was awesome to see that. But it was great to see that those two guys were able to come back and make plays when we needed them to. That being Mason and Buck,
With Damon King being out for an extended period of time, how much relief does it give you as an offensive coordinator to have a guy like DJ Stubbs that can just step in right for him?
Yeah, certainly. Our slot receivers, they're all going to play. They all need to play. And one play away. Once again, it showed up there, and he's been preparing for himself for this moment his entire career. Last year, he was in a backup role, and then he made plays on key down distances. And then this year, he's taken over that dual role, as a split starter, and he's made phenomenal progress and made phenomenal plays for us. And so. You feel really good knowing that you got a guy that's been preparing to be the workhorse, so to speak. Going forward, it's going to be that much more important for the next couple of guys to have that same mentality and come to work every single day, ready for their moment. So.
From an offensive line perspective, three starters played every snap. Thomas Sargent would have played every snap if he hadn't lost his helmet. Are you pleased with that depth there? And the fact that the starters are able to play so many significant snaps back-to-back weeks?
Yeah, certainly. That's a tribute to Coach Stam and Bill Gillespie and that group. Of just those guys got to be they got to be tanks. They got to be able to keep going and going, and they're going to get 70, 80, 90 snaps a game, and you can't do that if one, you're not physically in shape. Two, you got to have the wind. You got to be able to, go on 16, 17 play drives at times, and then be able to do it back-to-back series, And so those guys were prepared physically and mentally, and they played a lot of football, and they've done so in a fashion which allows them to be successful because they execute their assignments all the time. It just makes it easier, as a play caller, knowing that I got a veteran group of guys that when we call a play, and they're going to be at least assignment sharp.
New Mexico State had a lot of sacks last year. Their personnel, I guess, has changed a little bit this year, but scheme-wise, compare them to last year, and then personnel-wise, compare them to last year, I guess.
Well, they recruited to a certain standard. They want some length on the perimeter of the defensive line, some guys that can get off the football and reset the line of scrimmage. In the interior, they wanted some strength and some size, and so these guys have played a lot of football together. I think they've had some guys in years past that have graduated that were really, really good. That last year's defense was pretty salty. You can't tell any difference in terms of attitude and effort between last year's team and this year's team. When you turn on the tape, you see those guys getting off the football, flying to the football, rallying to make tackles. And so the only difference is just the new year. That's probably the only difference. They're still gifted, at all positions.
Joe, you mentioned last week 5 to 8 drops against North Texas. I don't recall many, if any, last week. Maybe a few. What went into the preparation for that? Was Buck more on target than maybe what he was against Army or North Texas?
I think it really came down to just being focused, being in that moment only, not being in another moment, not thinking of something in the past, not thinking of a future play, just being in that moment and making your play. We did a couple things last week in terms of emphasizing ball location from the quarterback position, catching the football, regardless of what the scenario is or what the environment was. Like we did a wet ball drill after practice one day, and we just threw a bunch of wet balls out there, because when it's raining, there's 2 receptions that got to take place. The quarterback getting a snap from the center, and then him delivering the football to the wideout. And so we made an emphasis, to show everyone, hey, there's 2 receptions that got to occur here, and they both better occur when it's raining, And our guys did a really good job of embracing that. They executed those drills, and then they just carry over throughout the week. We didn't have very many drops last week during practice, and then that showed in the game. Our guys were locked in, when the ball came their way.
B.J. Farrow's performance kind of gets overshadowed by AGG, but his 2 big catches on that first drive, especially on third down, that 37-yarder down to the 5-yard line, how much did that set the tone, and how pleased were you to see what he was able to do with more targets thrown his way?
Certainly, we were just trying to get the ball, rolling down the field. They went down and scored on the first drive, and so it was one of those deals where it was like, hey, we got to get some explosives. We got to get some yards after the catch. We got to figure out, who needs to get the football early and often in order to get this party started. And, we decided, hey, let's go with 82 this week, start him off with a football because he catches almost everything that's thrown his way. So we know, hey, if we put it anywhere in the vicinity, this guy's going to come down with it, high, low, anywhere between. And so we got him involved right away. It was a huge explosive, went plus 20. And then we got in a crucial third down situation. Quarterback climbed the pocket, threw a fade ball up there. And, that's one of BJ's greatest assets is his ability to go up and leap. And he's shown that throughout his entire career here. He is like a 40-inch vertical. He can go up and get it. And that was just a demonstration of his athletic ability and the continuity those 2 had. But getting him involved certainly helped our offense get started.
It's on tape, so it's no secret, but compare the 2 plays that DJ had passes in the last 2 games and going to 1 for 2 from a completion standpoint.
Yeah, well, one was on the right hash going to the left against North Texas. It was raining. He's a righty going to the left. It's not something that you do naturally, but it's something that he's done in weeks past. We've practiced it, and just one of those deals where it just didn't happen the way we wanted to the first time. And then last week, we're like, wait, perfect scenario. Now it's on the left hash. Right, we got everything we want. He's a righty going to his right. Let's see if he can, make the completion. And he did. The difference was once he threw a duck. The other time he threw, a decent spiral, So the difference of the 2, I'd say if there was anything, weather may have been one part, and which direction he was going may have been the other.
Damian King had a couple passes, 2 touchdown passes thrown in 2015. When he comes back, do you have a vision maybe getting him an opportunity like DJ to make defenses think a little bit more with those guys?
Yeah, I mean that's always been part of what we do here at Liberty in terms of whatever your skill set is, whatever you're really really good at whatever position you may play, we're going to use it. I mean, Damien's the one that really started that party for us, throwing touchdowns in 2015. So when we recruited DJ Stubbs, well, he played a little bit of quarterback. We watched him throw a ball around. Hey, that's another guy that could do that. And so it's funny how you just coming up with plays. It's just simple observations that you have just sitting around watching guys play catch, and then you're like, oh, that guy can. I mean, you'd be surprised the kind of things that we have in our offense that we haven't shown. But at any point in time, if someone lines up a certain way and you give us a certain look, we'll take advantage of it.